Who is the best character in The Boys? Season 4 is just finished. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the finale, and let's get into the tier list. So I've got a list here of The Boys characters, but also some of the Gen V characters. If you haven't watched Gen V, please watch it. So we've got best of the best, great, good, meh, and bad. Let's start off with you. We're going to start off with Frenchie. I think in this list of characters, I really do like Frenchie, you know. I think this season wasn't his best season. I preferred him in previous seasons, but I think as a character, I think he's a good character. I think Frenchie in the show is a good character. I'm happy. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers in this video. If you haven't watched any of The Boys, why are you here? But if you've not watched season 4 finale, there's going to also be spoilers. But I was very happy that, you know, Kimiko and Frenchie did actually kiss at the end, and they were teasing it for so long, and then at the beginning of the season they just scratched it. So I was a little bit worried. But Frenchie as a character, I like him. He gets the job done, and I liked him when he was, you know, dealing with the virus again at the end of the season, back to his roots in The Boys like setup. I think Frenchie is a good character. Let's move over to one of the new characters. I'm going to go with Sister Sage, and this season wouldn't be the same without her, first off, and I really, really liked her. I think she's a great character. Sister Sage came into the season, and like, at the end of it, of course, she says, this was all my plan. This was always my plan. I don't know if she was being honest, but I think she was. She's the smartest person in the world, and she's just set up everything. She's got Homeland around her little finger, which is like already outrageous to say, because it's Homelander. She's come in here and just been probably the main character in like the plot progressing, and I just really like her. I think she's fun. There's so much to her character now I really liked, and yeah, that's why she's a great character in my opinion in The Boys. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does in season 5. Will she turn good? Is her major plan to like rule the world herself? Who knows? Let's stick with the new characters, and I'm gonna go with Firecracker. Now, Firecracker, obviously, the role of this actress, the role of this character is to piss us off. They're supposed to be a very jarring, annoying character who just represents, you know, what we see on social media and TV nowadays of certain people in different, you know, areas of the political spectrum. I think she's a good character. She's a good character. I liked her. She was supposed to annoy us, and she was good for that. I liked her character in the sense that she was constantly trying to impress Homelander, going to the extremes of, you know, taking that medication to be able to produce breast milk. I thought that was a crazy moment. She's a good character. She did the job of jarring us. Like, you got to remember these characters, especially villains, you've got to want to dislike them. She does that well. Dislike her. Good character. Right, let's not neglect any of the Gen V characters and go over to the main character in Gen V, Marie, who obviously at the end of Gen V, spoilers again if you've not watched it, she's locked up with a bunch of the other characters from Gen V. She's amazing. I really like this character. I thought she was a great character. What I love about The Boys and this universe, first of all, is the darkness and the grittiness of it, and how, you know, coming to having your superpowers would be shocking and wouldn't necessarily go seamlessly as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Oh, I can swing, I'm fantastic. Sometimes it will go traumatically wrong, which it did for Marie in the show. I thought that was really, really interesting to just see how that played out, and how she overcome it, and later down the series, you know, really mastered her powers, you know, as she can manipulate blood and throw it at people and stuff like that. I really liked her character, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go next with Gen V. Crimson Countess, yeah, bad character, don't really remember you. Tell me in the comments down below if I'm bad for that. Like, The Boys coming out like pretty much every 2 years makes it a little bit difficult to remember. I'm actually loving the fact that I'm going to be able to rewatch this all in one big binge watch when it's all out eventually. I probably have to do it before season 5 so I can remember it, but I don't really remember ever like having any feeling for her. Another average character, it's Huey's mum, Meh. I will say this season started off a little bit slow for me. Started off a little bit, I was like, I'm going to give it time because I love The Boys, but I wasn't really sure where it was going. It was a bit confusing with her being back in it. I thought it didn't really bring anything. Obviously, it was just another element, another like thing that Huey had to deal with in this season. So we might as well just go straight into Huey's dad. And first of all, that episode, I genuinely loved that episode so much. It did bring a tear to my eye. I'll put my hands up. I thought it was a beautiful little thing of like Huey having to come to terms with the fact that his dad was going to pass. There's nothing he could do about it. Him being given Compound V and having to deal with that and what power he got and just the mayhem that caused. I do just want to go back to Huey's mum, and I just want to talk about, why did she give him the Compound V? Did anyone actually, like, I'm surprised they didn't really call back to that and talk about that, because that really didn't make any sense. But as a character, I think overall he is a meh character in the whole show. Very average, didn't really get involved at all, but definitely better than Huey's mum. Let's go to somebody who had a massive season this season. That is A-Train. A-Train. I used to hate A-Train with a passion. I really did. And then season 3, you saw him slightly shifting a little bit. This season is the redemption arc of all redemption arcs. I would put A-Train, I think he's I don't think he's better than Frenchie, but I think he's just a good character. I think he's a good character. This season, I liked the fact that he felt like he was being redeemed in his, his path in life. They were playing with us this whole season. Will he live? Will he die? If you remember the puppet episode, at the start of it when they're singing the song, they leave it with A-Train's puppet lying flat. That is literally foreshadowing A-Train's death. But he does manage to get away. But talking about people fleeing and being in trouble and close to death this season, we are going to move over to Ashley. Ashley is a character. I really like her. It's very interesting to see her. She's in a very high stress role in a very stressful world where she's, literally tiptoeing across the line of death for the whole time she's there. Like, literally, when you really imagine it, if she puts one step wrong, she's that close to getting lasered and dead. I really like her as a character. I think I might put her as a great character. I really like the differences and the complexities of her character. How she pulls out her hair, but then she's also like a dom because of, like, she's obviously very submissive in her role, being spoken down to all the time. That in her, other side of her life, she likes to be a dom there. And now she's, of course, taken Compound V to survive. So I'm very intrigued what her character will become with these powers. It's going to be very intriguing to see what she ends up like in season 5. I do imagine she's on the chopping block, though. I don't imagine she'll make it to the end of season 5. It's going to be a very interesting list, actually. In the future, if you want to see my predictions for season 5 and who will make out in the end alive, let me know in the comments down below if you want that video. Moving on to someone that Ashley had a little bit of a moment with in this season, it was Tech Knight. Tech Knight was obviously a character in Gen V first introduced, and if you didn't watch Gen V, you would have missed out, because he was a very intriguing character when he was brought into it. He's basically Sherlock Holmes on crack. And then on top of that, he really loves holes. The less said about that, the better. As a character, though, in the show, obviously, as I said about Firecracker, villains and bad people, if you end up disgustingly hating them, it means they made the character good. Their role was for us to hate them. And for me, I think he's a good character. He's a good character. He's very, I love it when you introduce a character with powers in this show and they're just odd. I think he's just got a lot to him. In The Boys, definitely not a good character. Very rarely shown at all. In Gen V, you see a lot more of him. So if you didn't watch Gen V, you would have missed out massively in understanding his character. Speaking of Gen V, let's fire through all of the Gen V characters right here, right now. All right, we've got Andre. Obviously, the actor, very, very sad, passed away. But as a character in the show, I'd have to go meh. Obviously, he could control metal, but yeah, just a bit of a meh character. Out of Gen V, there were definitely more characters that you were left thinking were great. We've got Kate. Now, Kate was a very interesting character, and I think I'd match Tech Knight and say good character. Maybe even better than Firecracker. Her backstory, and that's what I love, as I said, with Marie. With Gen V, their backstories for their powers and discovering them were really, really interesting, especially Kate's. In this season, again, the boys, very, very minimal bit in it, but was involved in one of the most traumatic endings. Grabbing Frenchie and saying, get into the van, and he walks off, and Kimiko, we'll get onto you in a bit. We've got Sam in Gen V was decent. I think, again, I like the complexities of the character and things like that. I remember being very annoyed about his decision to go bad and asking Kate to obviously make him lose all of his emotions. But, you understand why maybe he would be conflicted and because of his how he was basically tortured. I think he is meh, but he's probably one of the better ones within that category. And then the final Gen V character will be Jordan. I think this is just a good character. I very much like the fact that they, obviously change gender and things like that, and their power is just pretty much just strength. But I like the differences within it. Like, that was kind of a shock reveal when you found out that was their powers at the beginning. I think just a good character. I'd probably put them above Firecracker and Tech Knight. I put them there. Let me know if you disagree with any of my Gen V rankings, but let's get back to the boys and fire through some more. I need to talk about the Octopus. I can't remember their name, but the Octopus, the Deep's love interest. I felt so sorry for them this season. They were why did the Deep do that to them? The Deep is a prick, but why did they do it to them? She was just trying to get into the big fish tank. I wouldn't put her in a bad character. I would put her in a meh character, because I might actually put you above Huey's mum, because I actually did feel bad for the Octopus. Let me know in the comments down below if you felt bad for the Octopus. I genuinely felt really sad for the Octopus. And then speaking of the Deep, it's really hard to rank the Deep, because as a character, he is purely the comedic outlet. That is his role in the show, is to make you laugh. But then you've got to realize as well that he's a nasty piece of work. But then in the previous seasons, you might have felt bad for him, and he was dealing with his body dysmorphia, with his gills, and loads of things about him. And then I feel like in this season, they just scratched all of that. And then I don't know what I feel about the Deep. I think he's just a good character. I wouldn't put him in great. I think he's just a good character. And I think he's quite high up on the good, actually. I think he might be a bit above A-Train because of his comedic relief. Like, he is quite funny in places. I think there's one character that's been sitting there for a while, waiting for somebody to get into it. And let's just say the obvious and talk about the elephant in the room. Homelander is the best of the best. There is no one better than Homelander. Homelander as a character, as a meme, as a villain. I really do like Homelander, and if anyone doesn't have him best of the best, I'd really want to know why. He's a nasty piece of work. He's just an absolute hot wire. Like, you don't know where he's going to go or what he's going to do, but you're always on the edge of the seat when you're watching him. And I think he might be one of the best. I think he's the best villain of all time. I've said it. I think what's his name? Anthony Starr, is that his name? The actor. I think it's the best villain portrayals ever. You can just see his mental cogs turning, the little quiver in the lip, the little raise of the eyebrows, the drop of the facial tone, like the fact that he can just go like completely blank in seconds. Like, he's crazy. He's crazy. All right, let's go through some of the smaller characters. We've got the director, the person who directs loads of stuff. I don't mind him. I think he's a bit of a meh character. He's not anything really to talk about in the long run of The Boys or Gen V. Gen V is a bit of a bigger role because he's teaching a class. Then we've got Samir. Obviously, this season particularly had a bigger role to play within the plot. Bit average, bad. I put him in a bad character. It's just like nothing to really to sing home about him, really. Then we've got Todd, who obviously in season 3 was a nasty piece of work. He was very infuriating. As a character, he is very meh. But he does the role of annoying me to the max, so I'll put him a little bit higher than the rest of those 3. Moving over to an older character within the show, Stormfront. I haven't really watched The Boys in a while. I'm trying to remember how much I thought she was a good character, potentially. Was she good? Was she great? Was she best of the best? I don't know. I think she's just a good character. I'd probably put her under Kate. I think she's a good character with that twist as well in there. A good character. Let's move over to Ryan. I know the character and the actor, sorry, he probably was going through puberty at the time, but the voice was, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the voice in this season. As a character, I find every time I see Ryan on screen, I get very, very bored. I'm going to be honest, I get very, very bored. I don't like him as a character. I don't care for him as a character, but it's annoying because he's probably the most integral character within the future of the show. I think as a character, though, for me, I really don't like him, so I'm going to have to put him in bad. I think he's a bad character. I think he's a bad, boring character, and too much of the show relies on him, which isn't a bad thing, like, because obviously you can have a bad character be reliant on, but I find him so boring, and I don't really like his decision-making just annoys me as well. All right, let's move over to one of the other best of the best, and I think I've mentioned him there, Billy Butcher. Genuinely, as a Londoner, his voice is horrific. Like, if you're not from London or the UK, or you don't know what a Cockney that voice sounds like, he's genuinely terrible, but I bloody love it. I love his voice.
You're a dough.
It's the biggest meme of the show. Like, I think it makes the show a little bit, it adds a little bit of sprinkle on top of just like, he's just so over the top, and it's a little bit bad, but it's just so good. I love it. It's a bit annoying about him when he constantly like, is he going to go good? Is he going to go bad? But now we know he's completely taken the bad side of his brain and it's consumed him. As a character though, in the show, he's too integral to not like, and I just love the voice. I hate it, but I love it. I think let's stick to best of the best and let's go for another one. I don't know if people agree with this. MM. I love MM. I love everything about his character. The fact that he's a good leader. The way that he communicates, dropping every F-bomb here and there. I just love it. He's quite firm. But then he's got that other side to him. He has the OCD. He's got his family that he wants to care about within all of this mess in the world. He's obviously in this season had a panic attack and is looking out for his health at this point. I think his character in the show, he is everything that Butcher thinks he is, but he isn't. Do you know what I mean? MM is the actual leader of the boys, and I like the fact that he took that role in this season completely. I think he's like the most human, if that makes sense, within, as if you can say that, within this show. I mean, Huey is probably the other most human as well, but I think MM and Huey, other than them two, they're the most human within this series, and I really like MM. Speaking of Huey, I think he's a great character. I don't think he goes into the top dogs. I think he's a probably above Sister Sage just because of what he's done throughout the show for longer. I probably liked him in early seasons more than I did in season 3. Season 4, I think he's redeemed himself a little bit. Obviously, he went through an absolute torrid time within this season. I like Huey. He can be a little bit annoying at times, but as a character, I do like him. And as I said, he is very human within a world and a show where everyone's out for themselves and no one is human, really. Let's reel off a few more characters. We've got, obviously, Becca. Very hard to rank her, in my opinion, just because I haven't really watched the show. Obviously, at this point, she's just a figment of Butcher's imagination. I think she's a bit of a meh character. Obviously, she is quite integral, as linked with Ryan, of course, as well. I'll put her within meh. I think she probably is above, is it Todd? I can't remember his name now. I would put her below the octopus. I care more for that octopus than I do Becca. And then moving over to Madeline, obviously back in season 1. Did she even make it into season 2? I can't remember, guys, but obviously all I remember her for, obviously she was in charge, but also she provided the breast milk to Homelander, which was just crazy. It was just crazy. I think she's another meh character. I can't really remember. I don't remember being bad. I don't really remember. I put her above Huey's mum, I think. Let's go into Black Noir now. There's 2 versions of him. I'm going to assume the first version here is the OG Black Noir, the one that, was the real one. But he was a good character, and I really liked season 3's, development of him. First 2 seasons wasn't really much to him. I think he's just a good character. I'll probably put him above Stormfront. I'll put him there. But then, of course, now Black Noir within this season, of course, was revealed to be a narcoleptic, like the actual actor. Can fly, but wasn't allowed to fly. Was struggling to understand the role of being Black Noir. Within this season, though, definitely a meh character. Again, I'd put him below the octopus. Let's go to Maeve. I think Maeve was another good character. I didn't really care for her that much in the show, but when you look back on it, she was definitely a good character. She wasn't meh. I would put her probably just above Firecracker as a character. Not much to say about Maeve. I don't know if that's a bit rude of me. Starlight, as a character, I very much liked her in the first couple seasons. I thought she was very interesting. Obviously, the only good person within the 7. Obviously, everyone within the 7 was horrible. She was the only good one. I would put her in probably the great side of things, but I don't know if I would put her above Marie. I think Marie and Gen V I really liked. Let me know if you agree with that one. We're into the final few now. We've got Stan Edgar. As a character, I put him good. The only thing that would make me go higher is because it's Giancarlo Esposito, and I love him. But as a character within the show, I put him probably quite low down as good. Quite forgettable, but whenever he's on screen, he just takes the role up and completely owns the scene, I'd say. Moving on to probably the biggest villain of this season, it's Joe Kessler, played by one of my favorite actors, purely just because I used to love The Walking Dead and how he played Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But it's Joe Kessler, the imagination in Butcher's head. I think he's a great character, a great addition to the series. And you might think that's mad, I'm putting him so high up, but I think the performance is so good. The actual character and the surprise of it is Butcher's mind and his actual humour talking to him pretty much. I do like his character, and it's only going to be worse in season 5. He's only going to be more menacing and controlling Butcher. Let's go to Soldier Boy. As a character, I just want to put this out there. That Gen V scene where he's in Kate's brain is one of the funniest scenes I've seen in the whole of this universe. I was cracking up. I definitely would put him as a great character. I'd probably put him above Sister Sage. I think I would put him as one of the best characters in the show. Not in that best of the best though for me. Kimiko, you're going best of the best, above Mother's Milk. I love Kimiko's character so much. That final scene, her screaming no, her first word in such a sad moment, as soon as Frenchie and her finally realize they're meant for each other and things like that. Her dealing with her upbringing and how she came to be who she was this season, as well as Frenchie, their identity crises, and maybe other reasons why I put her in the top spot as well. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think as a character she's amazing. And speaking of another character that's amazing, Victoria Newman, R.I.P. I think she was just as sadistic as Homelander. I think she was just as sadistic and menacing when she was on screen. You were quite fearful of her. When she entered rooms and your nose started bleeding. I really liked her as a character, and I think the way they got rid of her, I think it actually works even better because they take her away just as she turns good, or just as when she turns someone that's going to help everyone out. I think they did well in that. As a character as a whole, I think she is just as menacing as Homelander, or just a little bit less, but just in that ballpark. I don't think there's any other character where I see them on screen and I'm that unknowingly knowing where it's going to go. So I think I will put her in best of the best, and she won't be forgotten. She's probably just below Mother's Milk for me. I really do like Mother's Milk. But yeah, that is my list. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and let me know what you think of my tier list here and what you think of season 4 of The Boys. I really liked it and I'm very much looking forward to the future of this universe. Thanks for coming through and I'll see ya when I see ya.